please don't listen to the TV. My mom's actually listening to TV right now. Alright, guys, now we're gonna continue where we left off from part 1. Right here, I think. So, yeah.
Of course. Essentially, these are the same person. Its logistics.
This is actually part 2, so yeah.
On duplication.
So yeah, just need to remind
could be
you.
biofused exponentially, creating copies of those cells. Think of it. A willing human participant, not just controlling a weapon, but becoming the weapon.
Army?
Able to react to danger and
Army
orders
force.
in a fraction of the time.
Yeah, this army force.
To maintain the secrecy
like
of
tanks.
these illegal experiments, the soldiers' faces would be covered up, so that the only giveaway was a cry of discomfort when a vehicle was damaged or a tank shell was fired. Professor Ruth wanted to take these experiments further, to duplicate his deprogrammed cells, to assimilate any biofused matter it made contact with, to assume any form of any size. Think of the possibilities. A weapon dropped into a city that can take any form it wishes and adapt any organic material it finds. Whole communities of people removed and left empty for occupation. Stage 1 is the secure storage of biofused genetic matter in stasis. Stage 2 will involve the release of this material, in secure conditions of course. To release this material in an uncontrolled state would be disastrous.
There was nothing they wouldn't try in that place, even experimenting with mirrors. As well as mirror testing, work on twins would become more extreme. To test just how far the telekinetic link in biofused matter would go. For one set of twins, the link would go too far. Whilst unseen horrors were administered on doctors, the doctors and specialists at HIT Logistics could observe in full detail the torture as an unbreakable bond with his twin would tear Douglas apart. Logistics would also be seen as a welcome refuge from another threat on Sodor. Steamies, we called them. They started out as rail enthusiasts, train spotters. They loved engines, but where was the harm in that? But when living engines were introduced on Sodor, they couldn't get here fast enough.
Most were seen as enthusiastic volunteers on the railway, some getting permanent jobs.
Now the Steamies' obsession with engines had a new, darker place to vent their frustrations.
James was a favourite engine. Sometimes every night for weeks, they'd gather at the turntable and play Spin the Engine.
Security footage, hidden by Sodor research until now, shows Gordon desperately pretending he couldn't fit on the turntable. But James was always the favourite, even to the television writers.
James's driver and fireman were feeling him all over.
But I had nothing to do with any of that business. Not after the first time.
With the closure of the railways, the engines were hidden away, and the Steamies would go underground and bide their time.
And it would be 30 years and a new documentary before anyone cared. Before anyone asked, why did this happen? Where were the engines? And what can we do about any of it?
With protests aimed at the government and hit logistics, the destruction of the evidence was speeded up. Unnecessary engines will be incinerated quickly and brutally.
As easy as signing a form, ticking a box, or waving a flag. The engines we knew and loved were murdered in the most efficient way possible.
But it would be the most insignificant death of all that would have the most devastating effect. Not any transport at hit logistics, but the one nobody witnessed, except for one.
Construction. We're returning back to the couple.
They'd spent 30 years together, just looking into each other's eyes, forgotten by us all, and as happy as any of us could ever hope to be.
As Clarabelle was disposed of, no one but Diesel knew what happened to her twin, nearly 20 miles away.
Daddy, my love, what's wrong? What's the matter? What's happening? Ellie, please, stay with me. I can't go. Stay with me. Stay with me.
But it wasn't over for Diesel.
Just sad.
He had to get out. As terrible as seeing his wife perish was, the worst was yet to come.
No, that's just sad. Alright, I think that Diesel's going mad. Nice reference to Diesel's Diesel's devious deeds.
Rights of biofused engines will be ignored.
Or dirty work from season 2 of Thomas and
The
Friends.
state-sponsored torture of engines must be stopped.
Diesel would form the Sodor Liberation Front. His dream was to make Sodor Island a home for engines and other transport, free from the tyranny of human beings.
And we will not stop until the island of Sodor is recognized as a refuge for all engines.
Meanwhile, the remains of the engines will be disposed of.
The remains at Hit Logistics will be moved off-site to a
Rebellion.
quarry in the Blue Mountains of Sodor. 6,000 pounds of desiccated biofused matter. Its location, the real mystery. And tending to this top-secret site was the only engine in the UK still being illegally operated.
Oh, we can get them doing pretty much anything we want, so, a bit of
This undercover footage reveals how Ferdinand was being forced to work, controlled by his addiction to Welsh coal.
That's right. That's right. You're gonna work for it, are you? Do you want some of this? We used Welsh coal to get the weaker engines started up, to give some engines a kick when they were struggling to get up in the morning. We never realised all the effects it was having on some engines.
The coal, man. No? What are you looking at me for? Oh, let's all look at funny engine. Is that right? Let's all look at the funny engine. You don't look at the funny engine.
Welsh coal acted as a narcotic on the engines. Prolonged use would lead to addiction and dependency.
Yeah, that looks a little bit weird.
That's right.
As Welsh coal addiction became a bigger and bigger problem, dependency increased on the set of the television series.
No, you'll never win first prize, Percy moaned.
Don't worry, Percy.
Thomas puffed.
All I need is a
One morning, Gordon was in the yard taking on a large supply of coal.
That's the third load of coal you've had today, Gordon. Some might say you're being rather greedy.
Increasingly, engines would cause what appeared to be accidents, but in fact were attempts to get exposed to Welsh coal. But prolonged use would result in permanent brain damage.
Dealers on the set, violence among the actors. We knew there were a problem when Gordon started talking to the voice in his head, telling him to do things, bad things.
Yes, said Gordon, I will.
Hit Logistics would later take Welsh coal research to its natural conclusion. High-speed steam engines would be pushed to their limits on high doses of the coal. As pressure from the media increased, and fearing more bad press, Project G-1 was put on hold, its future uncertain. Stage 1 stored away in what Professor Ruth called a controlled environment.
He dug his own grave, appearing in that documentary, as well as working at Hit Logistics.
Shit,
But he
17.
didn't see anything wrong in that. And so, just like everyone else, he blamed me for everything, even Smudger.
Smudger's story had been a children's favourite around the world.
Smudger worked on the Mid-Sodor Railway. The mine the engines worked on didn't make much, but it was enough to keep them going. Smudger was moved there because of his faults. His wheel alignment was off, meaning he'd come off the rails too often.
Unfortunately, the cash-strapped mine company couldn't afford the repairs. Their
Solar
solution would be
research
barbaric.
footage.
They dismembered him, taking away his wheels and opening him up. The butchers turned him into a steam generator.
Shut off from all sensation, Smudger powered the mind for many years. Alone with his thoughts, he would slowly lose his mind.
When business dried up, do you think they come back for Smudger? Did they, hell? He were left there for years. Everyone had forgotten him. In a way, it would have been better for Smudger if he'd been forgotten forever.
Sadly, for Smudger,
No.
salvation would arrive.
Wow, it feels
but in
like
the
you're
form of
staying.
Hit Logistics.
Professor Roof was still eager to find as much biofused material as he could. But Smudger had changed over time.
Smudger had remained in the same place for nearly 30 years. His organic parts were no longer just part of a steam engine. They had become shed.
Smudger and the shed were one and the same. They couldn't be removed.
Hey, no, please, wait, no, please, no, oh God, no, please, wait, no, please, no, God, no.
This would be the final act of logistics, closing down all their research and destroying evidence. Soon, there would be nothing left to even prove their existence.
That was what they hoped. They didn't count on one final, desperate act.
Alright, I think we could stop there. Thank you all so much for watching, and next part we're gonna continue where we left off. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.